Well, hello there, folks. You know me, Mark Miles, helping you become the best trainer, presenter, workshop facilitator, public speaker that you truly can be. Now, today's video, it's going to hit a little bit hard. Right? Now, today's video is actually going to speak to the pastors of the world, the church ministers, preachers, and speakers from stage. Now, I find that pastors, preachers, ministers are interesting people, and they seem to have been very much indoctrinated in a particular way to speak to an audience or a congregation. And I am fully aware of the, paradigm that ultimately what they're doing is sharing a message, right? Sharing a message. What we need to appreciate, though, is that whenever any audience member is listening to anyone speak from stage, there's actually 4 types of learners or humans or audience members. And you may want to grab a pen and write this down, but these 4 types of humans, they exist. And they exist in a congregation, they exist in a lecture theatre, a school environment, any kind of environment where they're receiving information. Now, these 4 types of individuals are why people, what people, how people, and what if people. There's 4 types of information that every human needs whenever they're listening to someone present from stage. Now, unfortunately, though, this is called the format system, by the way, right? Now, whether you agree with the system or not, it doesn't change the reality that you, as a human, need certain types of information when you are receiving information from somebody. Now, what we often find, is preachers, ministers, pastors only ever speak to one type of learner, participant, or congregation member. So let's recap. We've got why people that really care about the why and how the information will benefit them. Why should I listen to you presenting from stage? Why should I listen? The what people, they very much care about the facts, the figures, the data, and in this case, the scripture. And they even care about the context a little bit. The how people, oh my gosh, the how people really care about how will they use the information that's being presented to them. How will they use it? How will that show up in their daily lives? What kind of new actions will they take? The what if people. The what if people, they are internally asking themselves, yes, but what happens if? Yes, but what about? And if you've mentioned that scripture, but what about that other scripture correlating with the other scripture? How could I use that? Or could that really apply in that circumstance? You see, unfortunately though, ministers, pastors, preachers, they will most commonly preach in the what section. The facts, the figures, the data, and the scripture. The facts, the figures, the data, and the scripture. Which is fine, but here's the deal, folks. If you are only speaking to one type of audience member, congregation member, guess what? You're missing out the other types, right? You're missing out the why people, you're missing out the how people, and you're missing out the what if people. Oh, a bit of a blasphemy here by Mark Miles, right? And so what we need to appreciate is if you want to be a great pastor, preacher, minister, all right, you actually, God forbid, I said God forbid, actually need to learn to speak to the other 3 types as well, right? You actually, God forbid, you actually have to tell people the benefits of actually listening to your sermon, your message, whatever it is, right? Whatever you're going to share, like call your message, right? You have to speak to the benefits. You have to naturally relate it back to the Bible. You do that, all right? You also have to talk about, well, how are you going, how is the congregation going to use the information and how is it going to show up in their daily lives, right? And then the what if, right? You need to be able to answer some questions that may come up from the audience, right? Yes, but what about? Or what if that happens? Or whatever, right? And one of the things is, if you don't capture the why people very early on, they will check out, and highly likely they're the ones that have fallen asleep in your church congregation. What a crazy idea, right? They've fallen asleep because you haven't given them a good solid reason to actually listen up to your message. Now, yes, I know there's many good reasons, because you may be going to heaven or hell. However, ultimately, to get someone to really hook into your message, there has to be those 4 core elements: the why, the what, the how, and the what if. So if anyone would love to know how to make their church messages even more powerful, you may want to look into the format system. It could be a good idea because highly likely most preachers, pastors, ministers are speaking from the what section a little bit too much, and they're missing out the why people, the how people, and the what if people. And that kind of makes me a little bit sad, because when the message is not catering to people's needs, people define it as boring or irrelevant or not helpful. And it's only those things because we're missing out those 3 other categories of people then. On that note, folks, hope you got some value. Hopefully you didn't get upset. But yeah, just something to think about for all the pastors and preachers out there, because it's a tendency, allow me to swat away a fly. It's such a tendency that we see in the majority of churches out there. People live in the teaching mode, which is the what mode, which is okay, but it's not going to give you as much as a reach as you probably want for your message. On that note, folks, hope you get some value from the video. If you did, like, comment, share, and send it out to your local church minister. Just kidding, of course. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you can get your message to land even more powerfully. Thanks for watching, team. We'll see you on the next one. My name is Mark Miles, helping you become the best trainer, presenter, communicator you truly can be. Bye.